from the station that's in your corner. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
First on Fox, a haunting discovery for a 15-year-old boy who found a young woman's body behind a church in Alva. Thanks for choosing Fox 4 News at 10 tonight. I'm Lisa Greenberg. This body was found just after 10:30 this morning. 4 in Your Corner's Karis Belger spent the day in the neighborhood. She spoke to the teen who found it tonight. Karis?
Lisa, Lee County deputies were called here to Charleston Park at around 10:40 this morning. That was after a 15-year-old found a body near a church. I spoke with that child and his parents, who say they just hope their son isn't traumatized by what he saw. What started as a typical Saturday morning for one 15-year-old turned to terror when he was checking raccoon traps and found something terrifying in his friend's backyard.
I went back there and I want to say my friend was about 10 feet behind me. 10, 15 foot.
The boy's mother asked we not show her son's face on camera, but when I spoke with him, he was still shaken by what he saw behind this church in Alva.
I started looking around and I seen clothing and I seen a bunch of hair.
He says at first he thought the hair belonged to an animal, but he quickly realized that wasn't the case.
It looked like deer hair almost, but then I started looking closer and it was a dirty blonde.
And when he looked closer,
I seen what looked like almost like a animal hand almost, but then I hadn't realized the human remains.
He says those human remains belong to a young woman. When he realized what he found, the boy called his parents, who then called the Lee County Sheriff's Office. Deputies spent the evening combing the area since 10:30 Saturday morning, interviewing neighbors and looking for evidence. But the discovery is an unwelcome disruption to what this teen calls a peaceful area. His mother says she's worried her son's discovery will leave a lasting impact.
It's going to, I'm sure, in time, set him back some.
Lisa, details are pretty scarce at this time because the investigation is still ongoing, but once we have more information, we'll bring it to you. In Alva, Karis Belger, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right, it was a pretty nice day outside today. Taking a look at Storm Shield Doppler radar, you can see it's pretty clear now, actually perfectly clear as we see it right now, but tomorrow afternoon, it could be a very different picture. So let's check in with Storm Shield meteorologist Tony Sadiku. Tony, when exactly are we going to see some downpour?
Yeah, I think we're going to see that rain start to move in tomorrow afternoon. So it's not going to be a total washout tomorrow, but rain chances are going to be going up to the point where it's going to look a whole lot different tomorrow on radar than it does now. We are dry for the meantime here across beautiful southwest Florida. Got a little bit more in the way of clouds. All of this is part of that storm system that we've been watching over the past several days. Now basically in the northern Gulf, and you can see it's spreading rain anywhere from Corpus Christi, Texas, all the way into the mid-Atlantic, the Carolinas, Atlanta, New Orleans, getting rain. We're going to watch this system continue to inch on closer, as well as that cold front that's going to have to bring us more in the way of some cooler weather. I'm tracking that rain for you hour by hour, as well as we'll finally get some of those cooler temperatures. That's in your forecast in just a bit. Lisa?
Thank you, Tony. At least 2 cars involved in a traffic crash in Cape Coral this evening. These are photos of that crash. This was on Skyline Boulevard and Gleason Parkway. Cape Coral police say at least 1 person was hurt and taken to a nearby hospital. The crash had east and westbound lanes of Gleason Parkway shut down for some time. Along with the northbound lane of Skyline Boulevard, traffic appears to be moving smoothly in that area now. A Fort Myers man killed in a multi-car crash that happened in Charlotte County. Florida Highway Patrol says on Friday evening, 60-year-old William Perry was going south on State Road 31 just north of Cook Brown Road when he tried to pass a school bus and ended up colliding with an oncoming car. Perry's car then spun out, hitting a third car. Perry was pronounced dead on the scene. Another deadly crash, this one in Lehigh Acres, killing a woman who was standing in the road there. This happened on Joel Boulevard, as you see here, east of 23rd Street at 7 o'clock last night. Florida Highway Patrol says 28-year-old Ashley Davidson was standing directly in the path of an oncoming car. She was pronounced dead on the scene, and charges are still pending in this crash. The suspected Seminole Heights killer appearing in court just feet away from his parents. And just before he was brought into that courtroom, Howell Donaldson III found out he faces the death penalty, and his parents could also be facing jail time. Carson Chambers from our sister station in Tampa has more.
If he guilty, he got to pay.
Howell Trey Donaldson found out today he's facing death if convicted. If he was bothered, his face didn't let on.
Our client has
Been made aware of this?
His mom slid sideways to see her son better. She craned her neck. He didn't even turn to look.
I understand with the mother and the father what they're going through, but they got to be honest.
Reginald and Gloria Felton say Donaldson's parents have a moral and legal obligation to cooperate with investigators.
Just tell them the truth. That's what I look at. You know, don't hide it. It's going to come out.
His parents have refused to answer any questions.
I would ask the public to ask themselves, anyone who is a parent, would you testify against your child?
Their attorney says this couple's answer is no, risking contempt sanctions, even jail time.
Yes, if the parents know something and they don't want to say it.
One quick glance from Donaldson as bailiffs took him back to Orient Road Jail, a glance that revealed nothing.
Now, Donaldson's parents will be back in court on February 9th to explain to the same judge why they won't answer any questions about their son. The 18th annual Naples Winter Wine Festival, held by the Naples Children and Education Foundation, has raised more than $161 million by auctioning off cars and vacation packages. It's funded things like health care, high-quality early learning, mental health programs, and after-school programs to over 200,000 kids, and they have no plan of stopping.
We've been implementing our programs for 18 years and we've seen huge differences and changes in the community. So personally and professionally, this is an important job, and if we don't do this and raise this money, these funds don't exist anywhere else for the children in our community.
Now, this year's event has raised over $15 million alone. Hooters restaurants in Lee and Collier counties getting a special recognition today. South Florida Hooters presenting a proclamation to the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 696 of Lee and Collier counties, in proclaiming the 16 restaurants throughout this area as Purple Heart facilities. This presentation was this morning at the Cape Coral Hooters on Del Prado Boulevard. How would you feel if your clock stayed the same year-round? Well, there's a bill circulating through the state legislature calling for daylight saving time to be permanent. Alex Hagan from our sister station in West Palm Beach is looking into the positives and the negatives.
At Wagner Microengineering in West Palm Beach.
It's a cuckoo clock.
Or you could call it clock and watch repair.
They do much longer. That's made in Great Britain.
John Wagner knows a thing or two about clocks.
Oh yes, family trait.
He says, don't mess with time.
Don't mess. Plus, you have to change the hours.
Well, a new bill circulating in Tallahassee wants to make it so we don't mess with time, keeping daylight saving time permanent. Basically, in the Sunshine State, the sun would be out later.
Longer day.
Marshall Sklar,
the benefits are tremendous.
Is on board. He knows the struggle with his kids.
It messes with their sleep cycle. They've been conditioned.
What do I need? Hold on, whoa.
As for the other side of things, though, it was tough to find someone for keeping things status quo.
For us, it is.
Rick Alfor,
Let's go ahead.
with Right Hook Fishing Charters.
Keep going.
Sees the benefits of clocks changing twice a year. Evening charters are better in the summertime anyways.
Get our customers out into that evening time when the snappers are more willing to bite.
You got it? Okay.
Back at Wagner's, again, John says, don't mess with time. Unless...
I try for so many years, to slow down time, but I can't.
And the Florida Department of Health says the health says that the health impacts are actually a myth, and also a myth the fact that any farmer benefits from daylight savings time. It's a story about a message in a bottle decades old, a classroom in Scotland, and a family here in Florida cleaning up after Hurricane Irma. Fox reporter Jessica Hawley has more from Key Largo.
We are learning all about pirates. We would like to see how far this message goes.
Please write and tell me where you found the bottle.
Ruth and Lee Henniger reading their message in a bottle. It washed ashore near their home in Key Largo in the wake of Hurricane Irma.
It was back in here.
The note in the bottle was from Class 2-3 at Chapel Park School in Forfar Angus, Scotland. It had traveled more than 4,000 miles. The Hennigers decided to write back.
I thought, let's see if this really gets all the way to Scotland. I mean, I've never heard of Forfar.
The letter let the students know where the bottle had landed here in Key Largo, and it made one request. We would like to know when it was sent. That letter would eventually find its way to Fiona Cargill.
We just wanted to see how far it would go.
She's the teacher who led the activity at the school in Scotland, her students even dressing up as pirates as they studied the thieves of the sea.
We decided that perhaps pirates would have sent messages in bottles.
So that's what they did.
Covered them with sticky plastic to keep the wet from getting in, put them in bottles, and got someone to put them out in the North Sea.
Turns out that was decades ago. In her reply to the Hennegers, she writes, "Would you believe that bottle was set on its journey more than 30 years ago? The school is no longer around. Miss Cargill is retired and her students are nearing 40. Even so, the lesson wasn't lost."
It's just amazing how things happen and that it could get all the way over here from all the way over there.
Looking for the next bottle.
Gotta love it. Super cool. Scrambling for the flu shot? Where to go to keep your family safe during this especially intense flu season. And caught on camera, a terrifying near-death encounter with a mudslide. How 2 officers in California escaped death and saved lives. But first, a couple who survived that casino shuttle boat fire speaking out about their harrowing experience. What it was like on a boat that was burning. Next on Fox 4 News at 10. Tony?
Take a look. Storm Smart Scott came out there on Fort Myers Beach. This is what a day in January in Southwest Florida should look like. But in the days ahead, I'm tracking increasing rain chances. I'll let you know when to expect the rain coming up in your forecast.
Live from the station that's in your corner. News with Lisa Greenberg and weather with meteorologist Tony Sadiku. This is Fox 4 News at 10.
For the first time, we're hearing from 2 passengers who were on board a burning ferry off the coast of Newport Richey. Jackie Calloway at her sister station in Tampa shares their story and the challenges the 50 people faced as they made their way to shore in the cold.
We need to call 911.
Cell phone video captured Joan Gibbons screams for help.
We need to call the Coast Guard.
And now, 12 days later,
I can't get it out of my mind.
Joan and her boyfriend Juan Martinez say they grew worried when thick black smoke started billowing from the boat.
Can we pray?
And the smoke was just getting more and more black. And we knew the boat was on fire. And one of the ladies that was standing by me also, she has her life jacket. Nobody did anything.
What was your biggest fear at that point?
We are going to have to get off this boat, or we're going to burn in the boat.
Because you think you're going to die.
Juan was one of the first to jump in so he could assist others.
Porque son people, y hasta tu cache, y cache el aro.
The smoke went in my face. It was very black and I couldn't see and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I just remember like hanging on to the bar and I just let go.
50 passengers stumbled and struggled against the quicksand-like bottom to get to shore.
And the water was like freezing. The sand was like quicksand. I have to get away from this because you don't know if it's going to blow up.
Oh, God. Oh, baby.
Here you can see Juan wading back into the frigid water to help other passengers get out.
Baby, be careful.
My feet go this very, very, very deep in the ground.
Joan may have escaped physical harm, but what happened that day left a scar you can't see. What is it that upsets you the most?
Like I keep just seeing it in my head over and over.
Just absolutely terrifying and tough to imagine. 42-year-old Carrie Dempsey died just hours after that boat caught fire. She went to the hospital only after going home first. Dempsey leaves behind 2 children.
We had a great day of weather here across Southwest Florida on our Saturday. Had a mixture of sun and clouds at times. Temperatures getting to about 80 degrees, dry. But it looks like as we approach the second half of the weekend, things are going to start to change, and it's going to include rain chances. This month, January, one of our driest months of the year, we only get a little under 2 inches of rain when you factor it all. Only a couple days out now. And all month long, not even a half of an inch. Looks like Mother Nature, though, is going to deliver over the next couple of days as we see our rain chances increase. At this time, Doppler radar is dry. Nothing to worry about here through tonight, but that will change quickly tomorrow. We're watching this storm system that we've been talking about for a couple of days. It's ahead of the cold front. That's the blue line there. Behind it, temperatures are cooler. We're going to see some of that, but first, things are going to get wet, I think, as we approach tomorrow afternoon. We'll time it for you with rain chances increasing here throughout the day, mainly in the afternoon. Not going to be widespread here or a washout here, I think, all day long. But I think as we approach the afternoon, we'll start to factor in a couple of those showers. A couple of isolated thunderstorms possible as well. That'll continue on Monday, at least for the first half of the day. Then we'll watch all of that rain push towards the east with our conditions drying out. But by the time it's all said and done, I think towards the end of the day Monday, looks like we'll get a decent amount of rain. Many areas picking up about a half of an inch to an inch of rain. Some areas we'll see that trailing effect of showers and thunderstorms. We could get a little bit more in some isolated pockets. But the big story will be higher rain chances tomorrow and Monday. Mainly afternoon tomorrow, continuing until Monday morning, ending by about midday with cooler weather building in by Tuesday. You can already start to track where that cooler air is. It's behind the front where you're seeing that blue on your screen there, the 30s in Wichita. 43 in Oklahoma City. They're starting to feel some of that, but ahead of it, it's in the 50s and 60s. Still got 60s and 70s here for us, but we are going to watch that change as that jet stream digs to the south and that cooler air spills on in. That colder air arrives Tuesday, and it looks like later on in the week we'll get another punch with another front heading down here by Saturday. But how the temperatures stack up is like this. Temperatures still in the 70s over the next couple of days, but we're taking a big dip Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs only in the 60s, but it looks like we'll see a nice quick warm up as we close out the week. For tonight, 64 is going to be mostly cloudy and mild, about 10 degrees above average. And tomorrow we'll be socked in the clouds, so temperatures don't move much. First half of the day will be mild and comfortable. Second half will be mostly cloudy with afternoon rain to dodge. At the beach and for boaters, showers and thunderstorms will be the main concern. Winds will be lighter tomorrow than they have been over the past couple of days. A light chop out there. Here's that 7-day forecast. It details everything we're talking about. Highest rain chances will be tomorrow afternoon. We could see some rain for the Monday morning commute, and then we'll welcome colder air Tuesday and Wednesday. Coldest morning will be Wednesday morning. We'll see lows in the 40s, but it looks like that colder air doesn't last long. We're back in the 70s by Thursday. Lisa.
Thank you, Tony. A man has been arrested and is facing an attempted arson charge after investigators say he lit 2 marine flares at a Tampa area mall last weekend. Patrick Collins of Auburndale was arrested Friday. According to an arrest report, Collins was linked to the scene at Eagle Ridge Mall by DNA found on those flares, as well as a pair of gloves. When deputies arrived at Collins' house to arrest him, they say he got onto a motorcycle, drove right into a deputy car, and then tried to flee on foot.
Collins admitted to lighting the flares. He said that he lit the flares inside the mall. He was there. He had no explanation as to why they were disguised with electrical tape. He said he was trying to actually sleep in the corridor of the mall. He said he was trying to sleep and that people were bothering him and chasing him, and he lit the flares to make them stop and to keep them from getting him. Made absolutely no sense.
Sounds like it. The explosion happened January 2nd near the JCPenney in Eagle Ridge Mall. A bittersweet story out of Central Florida. Terminal cancer will not get in the way of one teenager's wish to marry his high school sweetheart. As Nicole Grid from our sister station in Tampa reports, they'll be saying their I do's very soon.
You excited? Dustin Snyder knows his days are now numbered.
I love it. Honestly, it's so gorgeous.
He's getting weaker by the day. He even has a pain pump connected to his heart. But his last wish is to marry his high school sweetheart, Sierra, here.
I could never even think about leaving his side.
The two are each other's soulmates. Dustin was a healthy teen. He was a baseball and a football star, and he took Sierra to 2 proms.
I'm just really numb. I'm not trying to think about it.
At 18, Dustin was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and after 6 months of chemotherapy, he was cancer-free.
Like 3 weeks ago, he was losing lots of weight and he was in a lot of pain, and we took him to the hospital, and his stomach and his pelvic areas infest it with the cancer this time.
So 3 days ago, Dustin said he has to marry Sierra. Even during our interview, she was helping him take breaks to sit down. His words are now harder to hear.
She means the world to me.
3 days until the wedding, and the pair got to meet one of the women donating this venue to them free of charge. The community even raising money for rings, a dress, and a tux.
It's a blessing for us as well.
It's hard for us not to wonder how much time is left, but for them, it doesn't matter because this 1 week of wedding planning together is part of their happy ending. For the Now, I'm Nicole Grigg.
Just too sweet. Now, Snyder has synovial sarcoma. It's a form of cancer for which the 5-year survival rate can be as low as 36%, and it's even lower when the cancer returns after remission, as it did in his case. Scrambling for the flu shot. With the entire country overcome by the flu, a look inside one of the free flu shot clinics right here in Southwest Florida. And 2 California Highway Patrol officers almost swept away in the mudslides. Dash cam footage plus the story of how their heroic acts saved lives. Coming up next. But before we head to the break, here's a look at tonight's winning lottery numbers. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10. For the first time, we are seeing video of a harrowing ordeal happening during the deadly mudslides in California. 2 officers were headed to a fire when their patrol car got swept away. The vehicle was out of control, swept away in the January 9th mudslides. After a few helpless moments, the officer driving was able to gain control of that car again. Then the 2 officers spot a pedestrian in the path of those mudslides. As they continued traveling, they warned people, get inside your homes to avoid being swept away.
I got very emotional because I realized that we almost lost 2 of our officers that morning. They're absolute heroes in this, and they saved many lives.
Captain Pontus says the 2 officers were able to relay enough information to shut down the freeway in the area and prevent any other injuries or anyone else from getting stuck on that freeway from those mudslides. Protests against Donald Trump and Mike Pence heating up along the West Bank. Why protesters gathered and what inspired their anger in the first place. But first, families scrambling to fight the flu before it knocks out someone they love. A look inside a free flu clinic open in Southwest Florida. Coming up next, you're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
Fox. Live from the station that's in your corner. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
2018 bringing an intense flu season, and it's leading the Florida Department of Health in Collier County to host a free flu shot clinic. 4 in Your Corner's Jasmine Miner tells us families were coming in packs trying to keep their kids protected.
250 bottles of hand sanitizer and 512 free flu vaccinations.
Got us a little nervous, so we definitely rushed to get down here as soon as we could.
It's very important to treat it right away, as soon as you know, because there's a window of opportunity for the medication to work.
The nursing staff at the Collier County Health Department held a free clinic for hundreds of families. And with the stronger flu season underway, staff says it's Florida's way of keeping the most vulnerable safe, your kids.
Younger children, especially infants, are more susceptible.
And they can't communicate as well as we can as to what they're feeling, so you don't really know how severe it could be.
So staying clean is becoming more important than ever, especially when some parents are getting notices from schools to get their kids vaccinated.
They got an email circulated saying we should have everybody vaccinated in the home.
Suresh Raju has a 15-month-old son. He's never gotten the flu, but says what he's seen so far has made him concerned for his kids.
Here in Florida since last 15 months, I never had an issue with the flu and all. Just this is a precautionary measure.
He wasn't the only one Saturday taking precautions. The packed house led to the health clinic running out of child vaccines, leaving parents to believe too many families have waited too long to get their shots.
Procrastination. Hoping it's not going to be bad, and it was, so here we are.
Jasmine Miner, Fox 4, in your corner.
And if you missed the free flu clinic today, there will be another one tomorrow in Immokalee from noon to 3. Child vaccines will be available then. For more information, you can head to our website. It's fox4now.com. The flu season also hitting the baby boomers especially hard. The CDC says baby boomers have had a higher rate of hospitalization than young people. Those over the age of 65 are most prone to needing hospital care. It's one of the deadliest flu seasons in years, and the CDC says it's not showing any signs of slowing down.
We know that we're in about week 9 since the season started, and that's about halfway through the season, so there's still a fair amount of flu left this year.
You better be listening up to that. Doctors are encouraging everyone to get their flu shots. All right, taking a look at temperatures here. It's pretty warm right now considering we are in the middle of winter here in Southwest Florida, but meteorologist Tony Sadiku tells us it's going to get a little bit cooler in the coming days. Tony, when exactly am I going to have to start bundling up?
Yeah, I need to start finding that jacket, especially I think by the middle of next week. We got a cold front on the way. A lot's going to happen between now and then. We're going to see a lot of rain, but in terms of what we're seeing now, temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Tonight's going to be above average. We got to 80 degrees today in Fort Myers. Our average is 75. That tells you temperatures are certainly warming up, but we look at the big map and you can see between the blue and the green, temperatures are certainly cooling down in the central portion of the country. We're going to get a taste of that here in the days ahead. I'll let you know exactly when that cold front arrives ahead. Lisa.
Thanks, Tony. Nearly 1 year after a North Fort Myers father was gunned down at his home, still many unanswered questions as to who is responsible for this senseless crime. Trish Rout with Crime Stoppers has more on this family's plea for answers in this case.
When Pamela Duff talks to her granddaughter on the phone these days, the conversations are becoming harder to bear. Ava keeps asking why her daddy, who was murdered on February 8, 2017, is no longer around.
She asked me now when I'm on the phone with her, what happened to my daddy? Mommy said he had an accident and the doctors can't fix him. Well, why can't they fix him?
The answer is because an unknown assailant came into Eric Duff's North Fort Myers home and shot him to death at the age of just 32.
That day he got shot, he had just purchased her laptop and they had gotten tickets to go to California and see her.
But someone had other plans for Eric, and that trip to see his daughter never happened. Family members and friends say Eric may have connected with some less than reputable people right before he was murdered, who may have spread some rumors that he had a large amount of cash on hand, thus making him a target.
Got to feeling like something might be wrong, and he went over to the window to look out, and at the same time he looked out the window, the front door got kicked open, and he was shot right where he was standing.
Detectives arrived at Eric's family home shortly after the murder, having to share news that no parent should ever have to hear.
I heard my daughter crying and something going on, and I heard somebody's dead, and I went out there and I said, who's dead, who's dead? And nobody would look at me and nobody would say anything. And immediately I just knew. I knew.
Eric's murder has left a huge void in his family. They remember him as a comical soul with an infectious smile who could always make people laugh.
He was a funny guy. When he was in middle school, they called him LL Cool Duff. He was just a funny person.
But now, memories are all they have left. Both of his parents wear necklaces with ashes around their necks as a way to keep Eric close to their hearts. And the question they ask themselves every single day is why?
How do you lay your head on the pillow and sleep at night when you can just gun somebody down and not care, or you know about who did it and you won't come forward? How can you sleep? How do you live with yourself?
Family members are confident that it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out and the person or persons responsible for Eric's murder will be charged.
I just want justice to be served. I can forgive because I'm not a bitter person. I'm not going to hold bitterness in my heart. But I want them to be punished, yes.
And the unwavering belief that an arrest will be made is what keeps the Duff family going.
They're going to get this lead and they're going to get these people. I have absolute faith that it's going to happen.
For Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers, I'm Trish Rout.
All right, now here's the important part. Anyone with any information about the February 8th murder of Eric Duff is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-TIPS. You can also use their P3 Tips app. All tipsters will stay anonymous, and you can get a cash reward of $1,000 from Crime Stoppers and $5,000 from the Duff family. A Naples man taken to jail accused of breaking into multiple cars and even hijacking one. Collier County deputies were called to the area of Linwood Avenue after reports of multiple car burglaries in that area. That's when they say a car speeding from a street over where these burglaries happened was spotted by one of the deputies. They say they stopped the car, finding 22-year-old Joseph Adams was driving a stolen vehicle. And inside the car, deputies say, were the items that were stolen from those other cars. Honeybees dying by the billions every day. The alarming reduction in honeybees is being attributed in part to hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria. Billions of honeybees drowned in Florida, Louisiana, Puerto Rico, and Texas. Reduced numbers now impacting crop pollination and honey production. Researchers at the USDA Honeybee Laboratory in Maryland found a product, Bees Vita Plus, that may help the bee population thrive in the hive.
Why do Americans need to be concerned about keeping honeybees alive in the country? Is because 1 in every 3 bites of food we eat comes from honeybees.
Pollination season for melon and berry crops in Florida starts February 1st. The loss of honeybees during Hurricane Irma may have a huge impact on the industry. On Monday, President Trump will officially unveil a new plan that would dramatically transform immigration in the U.S. Will it be the breakthrough that finally settles this divisive issue? Corey Rangel from our sister station is getting perspective from a dreamer who says there's definitely a trade-off.
Born in Mexico and brought to the U.S. at the age of 2, Jose Magaña Salgado worked his way through school to become an attorney.
I was fortunate enough to be the first person in my family to graduate from university. I was among one of the first undocumented immigrants to graduate from law school.
Now Jose's future is at risk after President Trump made the decision to end DACA, the policy that protects young immigrants from being deported who were brought to the U.S. as children.
For me, that would mean an inability to legally work in the nation. It would be an inability to feel safe in the country that I've always known. You know, I have 2 U.S. citizen brothers. I have 2 degrees from institutions of higher education. I own a house. I pay taxes. This is the country that I consider my home.
As Congress continues to struggle to find a solution, the White House just unveiled a new proposal.
Our immigration system is stuck in the past.
The plan would offer Jose and 1.8 million other young undocumented immigrants a path to citizenship, but at a cost. The president is asking for $25 billion for his wall, faster deportations, more ICE agents, and big cuts to legal immigration.
Unfortunately, the president's opening bid is not a serious offer.
Even though the president's plan would help dreamers like Jose, he says he doesn't want any part of it because of the overall impact it will have.
Generally, dreamers believe that they shouldn't sacrifice the protection and the safety of other immigrants for their own well-being.
While a few Republicans say they like the plan, even some of Trump's conservative supporters are bashing it, calling the president Amnesty Dawn and calling his idea impeachable. Meanwhile, senators from both parties continue to work on their own immigration plan with the hope that if they pass it, it will push the House to do the same and then put pressure on the president to sign it. For the Now, I'm Corey Rangel.
And as was said, President Trump will present this proposal on Monday to both parties in hopes he'll be able to start collecting money to fund the construction of that border wall. A group of students holding a gathering for survivors and for change at Michigan State University. The event originally called on the school's president to resign, but now that march was all about supporting the survivors of Larry Nassar's abuse. Nassar was the former USA Gymnastics doctor who also was employed by Michigan State. He was sentenced earlier this week to 40 to 175 years in prison for sexually abusing more than 150 girls and women. A bar in New York has banned an interesting word. It's not offensive, but it might make you sound like you're exaggerating. What you're not allowed to say and why bar employees think it's good for grammar. And check this out, a cool cat, why his owner has him hanging 10 on the front of a moving vehicle. And why are people along the West Bank protesting Donald Trump and Mike Pence? We look at recent events stirring up conflict in the Middle East next. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10. All right, so today it was beautiful outside. It was breezy, it was sunny, it was comfortable. But you're here to tell me that all of that is going to get ripped away from me?
Just for a day or so. We're going to take a break from the sunshine. The sun's kind of going to go away. It will be socked in the clouds for a couple of days. But once we get that front to move through, it's going to be cooler. We're going back to the sunshine just in time for your birthday. Woohoo! Coming up here on Wednesday. But for us, we're dry here at this time. But that's going to change tomorrow. So you got plans tomorrow. You may want to include some of that rain gear in your plans. We'll talk all about that. The umbrella. Sing it. All right, here's what we got going on. The wind's certainly been a factor here for today. I mean, at points we had wind gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour. Probably felt it outside. Maybe one of those days hard to keep on the hats. But right now, wind's starting to lighten up a little bit. I think if winds stay on the lighter side, could notice some areas of patchy fog in the morning.